Welcome to the world of Elysian Shores, where we believe that all humans have the right to housing. I'm Noble Woods, your guide to the housing evolution. Every empty building is an opportunity, so let's build something that matters. Today we're tackling one of the biggest questions in housing. Can adaptive reuse, the practice of converting commercial buildings into housing, actually solve America's housing shortage? The answer is complicated, and that's exactly why we need to talk about it. The United States is short approximately 3.8 million housing units according to Freddie Mac. That gap has been growing for over a decade as construction fails to keep pace with demand. In 2024, homelessness hit its highest point ever recorded. More than 650,000 people experienced homelessness on a single night, an 18% increase from the prior year. The primary driver is the lack of affordable housing. Now flip to the other side. America is sitting on over 1 billion square feet of vacant office space. Since the pandemic shifted millions to remote work, office vacancy rates have hit historic highs in nearly every major city. Minneapolis reached 28% vacancy, Midtown Manhattan exceeded 20%, Calgary surpassed 25%, entire downtown districts have gone quiet. So you have a massive housing shortage and a massive surplus of empty buildings. The question everyone is asking is whether we can connect these two crises. That concept is called adaptive reuse, and the urgency is unprecedented. Let me walk you through the honest pros, then the cons, then the solutions, the people leading this, the successes, the failures, and what Elysian Shores is doing differently. The first advantage is speed. New affordable housing takes 5 to 10 years from conception to occupancy. Converting an existing building takes 12 to 24 months. The structure is already there. Second is cost. Adaptive reuse projects are completed 15 to 30% less expensively than new construction. You eliminate foundation, structural framing, and site preparation. Third is sustainability. Repurposing a building generates 50 to 75% less carbon than building new. You preserve millions of pounds of embodied energy in existing concrete and steel. Fourth is location. Office buildings sit near transit, hospitals, grocery stores, and employment. Converting them puts people where infrastructure already exists. Fifth is jobs. Over 70,000 apartments were converted from offices in 2025 alone, up 200% since 2022. Every conversion creates construction jobs, and every completed building creates permanent positions in security, maintenance, social services, and community programming. Now the honest cons. Not every office building converts well. Cornell professor Suzanne Charles puts it plainly. Some buildings are great for conversion, and some are not. The key factor is the floor plate. Pre-1940 buildings have narrow plates with lots of windows. These convert beautifully. Buildings from the 1970s onward have deep sealed floor plates designed for open-plan offices. These are much harder because U.S. code requires every habitable room to have natural light and an operable window. Architect Ben Kasdan of KTGY identifies two critical factors: ceiling height and the distance from facade to core. If the lease span is 10 to 15 meters, the building works. Wider than that, and the cost escalates dramatically. Plumbing is the second pain point. An office floor has 2 restrooms for 200 workers. Residential requires individual plumbing for every unit, meaning new supply lines, drains, and venting through every floor. HVAC is third. Offices use centralized systems. Apartments need individual climate control. The retrofit requires either new ductwork or ductless mini-splits in every unit. Electrical is fourth. Office wiring handles computers and lights. Residential wiring handles kitchens, laundry, and bathrooms with completely different load calculations. Environmental hazards are fifth. Older buildings often contain asbestos and lead paint. Remediation can cost millions if not caught during due diligence. Zoning is sixth. Many commercial districts aren't zoned residential. Obtaining a variance can take 2 to 5 years, killing projects before they start. Cost uncertainty is seventh. Conversion costs range from $100 to $500 per square foot. Unexpected structural issues and code surprises blow budgets apart. Now the solutions. For floor plates, Architects place apartments around the perimeter and use dark interior space for hallways, counseling offices, and community areas. The 25 Water Street project in New York carved interior courtyards to bring light to the center. For plumbing, prefabricated bathroom pods are built in factories and craned into position, cutting construction time by 30%. Vacuum plumbing systems require smaller pipes and less invasive installation. For HVAC, ductless mini-splits have become the standard. They're compact, efficient, and each resident controls their own temperature. For seismic and fire safety, performance-based engineering reinforces only essential elements instead of overhauling entire structures. For environmental hazards, thorough assessments before acquisition prevent surprises. The policy landscape is shifting fast. California's AB 507, signed in 2025, makes adaptive reuse a use by right in all zones statewide. Los Angeles expanded its ordinance citywide for buildings as young as 15 years old. New York's City of Yes initiative is one of the largest zoning overhauls in the city's history. At the federal level, Representative Mike Carey introduced a bipartisan 20% tax credit for conversions with affordable housing. Just this week, the White House issued an executive order reducing regulatory barriers to adaptive reuse. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey announced $140 million for conversion projects. Boston is offering 75% property tax reductions. Chicago is expanding tax increment financing. The political will is building because the crisis demands it. On the experimental side, researchers are developing modular wall systems that reconfigure without structural work. AI-powered building information modeling simulates conversion scenarios before construction begins. Some developers are testing pod housing for deep floor plate buildings. Let me name the champions. Assemblymember Matt Haney authored California's AB 507. Representatives Adam Schiff and Jimmy Gomez introduced legislation targeting vacant federal buildings. The National Alliance to End Homelessness drafted a model Adaptive Reuse Act for state legislatures. The Turner Center at UC Berkeley and Harvard's Joint Center for Housing Studies have published the most influential research. In development, Bedrock transformed Detroit's Book Tower into 229 units, cutting carbon 85%. Cetra Ruddy converted 55 Broad Street in Manhattan into 571 apartments. Alexandria, Virginia has 15 conversion projects underway. Washington, D.C. has delivered nearly 6,000 units, but not every project succeeds. Some developers chose fundamentally unsuitable buildings with deep floor plates and sealed facades. Others underestimated remediation costs. Some built apartments in neighborhoods with no grocery stores, childcare, or parks. Others tried affordable conversions without blended capital and watched the financing collapse. Developer Taylor Vogt of Model Group noted that the easy conversions are mostly done. What remains are harder buildings requiring more creative solutions. So what is Elysian Shores doing differently? We start with building selection. Every candidate goes through a feasibility scorecard covering floor plate depth, window access, structural type, environmental condition, zoning, and neighborhood amenities. If it doesn't pass, we walk away. We're forming alliances early with engineering firms, policy advocates, government agencies, and community organizations who have navigated this before. We're not reinventing every wheel. We're learning from proven experience and building genuine partnerships around shared mission. Our funding model layers philanthropic capital, mission-aligned investment, state programs, and healthcare funding through California's CalAM initiative. No single-source dependency means our projects survive surprises. We build wraparound services into architectural plans from day one. Counseling, medical care, job training, financial literacy, and recovery support, all on site. Housing without support is just a building. We're building communities. Can adaptive reuse solve the entire housing shortage? No. The crisis requires every strategy working together. But adaptive reuse solves a meaningful piece faster and cheaper than any other approach available. The buildings are empty. The need is urgent. The technology exists. The policy is shifting. At Elysian Shores, we've answered the question. We're building. If you're a developer, engineer, investor, social worker, or someone who believes empty buildings and homeless veterans should not coexist, visit ElysianShores.com. Join the housing evolution. Like, share, and subscribe. Every share puts this in front of someone who might help convert one more building into one more community. I'm Noble Woods. Until next time, keep innovating, keep adapting, and above all, keep evolving.